Well, Bill follows the news, first speaking frankly about her life and career with a tour de force performance on home ground in Cardiff at 10:40. A Shirley Bassey special now on BBC One. In 50 minutes, a concert performance when she opened Cardiff's International Arena last September. First, along with some of her close friends and associates, she talks about her life and career.
I've got you deep in the heart of me, so deep in my heart, you're really a part of me. I've got you under my skin. I like the free, fresh wind in my hair. Life without care. I'm broke, that's so. Hey, California, it's cold and it's down. That's why this lady is a tramp. And I love it. Yes, I'm a tramp, and I love it, and I wish that you were coming my way. Yeah, I wish that you were coming my way. Yeah, I wish that you were coming my way. Yes, I'm a lady, but a tramp.
I'm in my warehouse, where these are the gowns, where I keep all my stage gowns, and on that side, some of the private clothes. This is the dress that I wore to sing for President Kennedy. Oh, if I can get it down. That little number. And then after the show, for the party after, I changed into this little number. It looks nothing, but believe me, it was terribly glamorous all those years ago. It had a great big jewel brooch here, and naturally I won't throw it away because of the sentiment.
Diamonds are forever. They are all I need to please me. They can stimulate and tease me. They won't leave in the night. I've no fear that they might desert me. Diamonds are forever. How hold one up and then caress it. Touch it, stroke it and undress it. I can see every part. Nothing hides in the heart to hurt me.
I actually go to work with a gown in a shopping bag, and it's black, and it's a pair of tights, and one leg is beautifully beaded, and it has a chiffon. It has a body that is, as how did one say? She has black pieces around her bosoms, and embroidered pieces, so that I wear nothing underneath, and it's long sleeves. And then this chiffon skirt that goes round my waist and this leg comes out, you know. I quite like that. I think I'm a stripper at heart, really. I love to take things off.
So hold me close and darling, show me how. Closer, closer now. Kiss me, honey, honey, kiss me. Curl me, honey, honey, curl me. Don't care even if I blow my top, but honey, honey, don't stop.
They're just keepsakes now, you know, to remind me of those good old days.
Don't care even if I blow my top, but honey, honey, don't stop.
I was always a strange kid. I was very different from my sisters, and I was sort of tomboy. A little bit of a loner then, you know. And then, of course, when I started to sing and you know, sort of bedtime, my sisters, Mom, would you tell her to shut up? We're trying to sleep, you know. And this went on, like, you know, even when I was in the school choir, you know, the teacher kept saying, Bassey aloud, could you go back a bit, you know? And I went back to the room and then back a bit more until the end I was out in the corridor and I was singing all by myself, you know. So how I became a singer, I really don't know, because I really had no encouragement. Everybody told me to shut up and, you know.
We seem like passing strangers now.
My brother was the record buyer in our house, and his favourites were Sarah Vaughan and Billy Eckstine. And especially when Sarah and Billy used to do duets together. And we would take them off. I would be Sarah Vaughan and he would be Billy Eckstine. But it turned out that my voice was more like Billy Eckstine. If I should lie, if I made you cry. So we reversed roles. It was fun. And my brother got me really interested in music because I was always singing, you know, without music. What they call it a cappella.
If I told
I was singing in a workman's club on a Saturday night. I was 15 and a half. And because it was a weekend, the wives were allowed in at weekends, so I was able to go and sing. And there was a man there who'd come down from London to see his family, and he was putting on a show in London. And he came to me after and said, I would like you to come to London and audition for the backers of my show. I'm putting on this show. And it's called Hot from Harlem. And I said, well, you know, you have to speak to my mother, because I thought this was a line, you know, sort of going in one ear and out through the other. This is a line if ever I heard one. And sure enough, he turned up the next day at my house and talked to my mother. My mother said, but she's never been away from home, you know. And he said, well, she can have a chaperone. So my girlfriend came with she was the same age as me, you know. And I remember the song was Jezebel, that Frankie Lane made famous. And here's this 15-and-a-half-year-old singing, Jezebel, if ever a devil was born, it was you. And anyway, I passed. And I rushed home to my mother and said, I passed, I'm going to be in a show, I'm going to be in a show. And that was the end of my childhood. I felt lost many times. I used to write my mother every day, every other day, you know. Couldn't call, we had no telephone in those days. Sometimes terribly homesick. And in fact, when the first show finished, I went home and said I had enough. I got a job as a waitress. And I was moping around, and my mother said, you go back, you know, you were born to sing. And I said, I don't think so, it's a lonely life, you know. But then I got a telegram from a friend, a choreographer, who was putting on a show in Jersey. And I liked this choreographer. I think, in fact, that's where I got all my movements from, because I used to stand in the wings and watch him, and oh, God, he was so graceful. Because I used to sing with just standing, you know, and I never moved. So finally, it all started to come into place, and one day I found out my hand had moved, you know, but at the right. No, not just moving like a windmill, but moving to make a point of what I was actually singing about at that moment, you know.
Just as you are all I could pray for. All that you are, that's what I wake up each day for. Every single one warmer than the one before. As I love you more and more and more.
I had a very tough manager. I think most people in those days did. I think managers were very tough. I used to think they were very cruel, you know, like shout at you and make you cry and, you know, like don't think because you got a standing ovation tonight, you know, miss, that you're going to get one every night. You know, that was like to keep you from getting above your station and being grand, you know. And I've never taken my success for granted because it was pounded into me from a young age.
Para bailar la bamba, si necesita un poco de gracia, una chiquita y arriba, y arriba, y arriba, y arriba, y arriba, el rey, soy un marinero, potito rey, potito rey, potito rey, bamba, 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 bamba.
So one day, my manager said, they want you to play Glasgow. He didn't tell me about the famous Moss Empire in Glasgow, which was, they sent everybody up there. It was a testing ground, you know. And it went on, and I was singing this fast number, you know. What a day this has been, what a rare mood. And now I know why everybody chooses a fast number. I didn't know, but it's a tradition. But I didn't know why it was a tradition. And then I found out from that night, because I couldn't hear anybody. You see, the band was so loud, I was singing so loud, and it was a fast number, and I didn't hear anything. So I thought, oh, I got away with it. You see? And then the next number was I've got you under my skin. And then they started. They let me have it. Yes, take it all, or whatever, you know. Oh, and this went on throughout the song, and I kept going. And then I finished that song, and before I went to the third, I stopped. I said in a broad Welsh accent, now listen here. I've come here tonight to entertain you, and if you don't want to listen, I'll go home. But first, give me a chance. Silence. I didn't know what to say. Oh, my God, what have I done? Silence. And I peeked out, because it was very dark, you know, and they were still there. So I went into the act. And those days it was 6, 7 numbers, you know. And at the end, a round of applause, and it was great. So it went through the grapevine that I passed the test, and I got a contract for all the Moss Empires. So I love that now with an audience, you know. I can relate to it. You can't do it all by yourself. There has to be love in the relationship going on there.
The minute you walked in the joint, I could see you were, do you like that? A real big spender, good looking, so refined. So wouldn't you like to know what's going on in my mind? So let me get right to, here it comes again. I don't pop my cork for every man I see. Hey, big spender, spend a little time with me.
Well, the sort of songs she sings really, you know, how can I say, defines what gown she can wear. She can't wear fluffy dresses because she's not that sort of person. So they're sexy and very heavy. Very heavy. She can hardly move, but I think she's unbelievable the way she moves. But it's really like making for a gymnast.
Doug just doesn't make gowns. I mean, they're like buildings. I mean, he's he's an architect. The gowns, the way I move them, the way I use them, and only to have a couple of accidents in the 40 years I've been in the business. Oh, I've given my age away. Oh, God, I've given my age away. And I was telling you I was 29 the other day. I lied.
I probably know her figure inside and out better than what she does, so I know all the best bits to show. Which is practically everything. I think we'll do knees next year.
Some very sexy gowns, I must say, that I've gone through. One particular with Doug had made the holes in strategic positions. He placed all these holes, one just around my navel, you know. So I felt like putting a diamond or a ruby or something there, you know. But it was sexy, you know, sort of without being kind of over the top, you know. And I was playing the Plaza in New York, Plaza Hotel, the Empire Room, and I was introducing this song called I Capricorn, and then I happened to say, I am a Capricorn, you know, and then a voice said something and I didn't hear, and I said, excuse me, and I am a Capricorn, and I appeared, and it was Ava Gardner, and looking gorgeous. And so, fellow Capricorn, but I couldn't get to her because she wasn't ringside. So what I did, I hitched up the gown and crossed the tables, you know. And as I passed each man who might have been tempted, you know, to touch one of the holes in my gown, which was bare flesh, no touching, watch it. You know, as I was getting to her, and then I got to Ava Gardner and I said, congratulations.
The reason you don't get bored watching her shows is because every show is different. Every single show is different. She puts a bit of clowning in. I've always found her very, as I call, Chaplin-esque. I think she has a very, very clever way of showing her sense of humour on stage with various gestures and movements of her mouth when she's saying something. She's never afraid to take the mickey out of herself, ever.
To think they could down.
I can remember years ago, she was appearing at the Coconut Grove in Hollywood, and every name and face in show business was there for the opening night. And about the sixth song, in the middle of the number, there was a slight earth tremor, an earthquake, and all the chandeliers started shaking and the stage started shaking, because it was one of those stages that they slide out with the big orchestra behind her. And as soon as the show was finished, I went backstage to her dressing room, and as I walked in, the first thing she said to me was, get hold of that man that moved my stage. I want him fired immediately. And the hands were going around like mad butterflies. And I said, but it wasn't anybody moving, it was an earthquake. And of course she just went hysterical and laughed her head off.
And if my son made you homesick, I'm happy. Let me through and roll down to lift you out of your seat. If my son can reach your shoes, stand you tapping your feet, I'm happy. Let me sing Dixie's child. Money shore, mommy's out, and if my song can make you homesick, I'm happy.
She puts her life into it. And when she comes off stage, she is absolutely soaked to the skin. She doesn't just come off stage having sung a couple of songs. She really works at it.
It's like a volcano on stage. Like a volcano on stage, and it was like a volcano in the studios. This particular day, she wasn't there at her usual time, and By 4:30 in the afternoon, there was no Shirley. We wondered what on earth had happened. This was like so unlike her. But we discovered that she'd gone to the cinema. She loves the cinema. She loves movies. We did trace her to the movies, and of course she nearly had a fit. But she arrived at the studios at 5:10, and by 5:30 she had recorded As Long As He Needs Me, which became one of her mammoth hits. It was a little bit of a boomerang for me sometimes, because when I sometimes wanted her to rehearse, you know, a number, she'll say, "Why should I bother to do that? I came in the studio and did it in 20 minutes and you had a #1 all over the world."
As long as he needs me, as long as life is long, I love him right or wrong, and somehow I'll be strong, as long as he
Norman has played a great part in my record success. And all these Italian songs that I found, I would take to Norman as, because I used to listen to the Italian radio and the Italian singers, and that's how I found a lot of my songs, like Never, Never, Never was originally Italian, Grande, Grande, Grande. This Is My Life was originally Italian, La Vita. I mean, all my hits.
Every time she heard an Italian song, if she liked it, she would bring it back to England, ring me and say, "I've heard a wonderful song that I would like to sing. Will you write the words?"
You make me laugh, you make me cry, you make me live, you make me die for you. You make me sing, you make me sad, you make me glad, you make me mad for you. I love you, hate you, but I want you till the world stops turning. For whatever you do, I never, never, never want to be with anyone but you.
If it makes me stop and listen, and I feel in my heart something, or, you know, it sends shivers down my spine, then I know that that is my song. And I tell you, I just heard those opening bars and I got goose pimples.
Goldfinger, he's the man with the Midas touch, a spider's touch.
It was an experience to do that. We were in a studio with 60 musicians. And they had an enormous screen, and I had to sing Goldfinger to what was happening on the credits, you know. And when it came to the Kiss of Death, it's the famous Bond car where the license plates turn around to any license plate that he wants, you know, for any country he wants to go to, you know. And it just matched the Kiss of Death, and it was very sensuous, you know. But till we got to the end, and the credits didn't seem to end, and I had to hold this note. And it was like, forever. And I was looking at John, I was going blue in the face, finger! No, he loves gold! The credits are going, the credits are going. He's going, hold it. And the end, you know, I nearly passed out, and they gave me water, you know, sort of patted my hands, with water, ice cold water and everything. It's just cruel business, show business. It's very cruel. But I had a world success with it, you know.
For a golden girl knows when he's kissed her. It's the kiss of death from Mr. Goldfinger. Pretty girl, beware of his heart of gold. His heart is cold. He loves only gold. Only gold. He loves gold. He loves only gold. Only gold. He loves gold.
Jessie Norman, the opera singer, came backstage and said to her, "How do you do it?" And Shirley said, "What do you mean, how do I do it? You know how I do it. You do the same." She said, "No." She said, "I don't do the same." She said, "I'm an opera singer." She said, "I couldn't sustain the power that you sustain for an hour and a half on stage." She said, "I walk on, sing something, walk off, and do it like that." She said, I've no idea how you do it. And your voice is incredible. How do you sustain that power in your voice?"
It is by nature a most remarkable organ, you might say. It's naturally very big. I mean, she doesn't need a microphone to fill the Albert Hall. The only reason she needs a microphone is because the musicians are amplified when she's singing. But she could easily fill the Albert Hall or any theatre I know of without one.
Before a big tour, or perhaps before the Royal Albert Hall when we've got 5 consecutive dates coming up, she is nervous and she's a bit like a bull with a sore head during that day. And we're all on tenterhooks because we know we're going to get yelled at, or she's very short-tempered. But after the show's over, she apologises. She said, "I was awful to you all today, wasn't I?" And we say, "Yes." And she said, "Oh, I'm sorry, you know I was nervous." And we say, "Yes." And it happens again the next time.
On the day of the show's rehearsal on the afternoon, she goes through everything. The song, full vocal range, all the steps, little dance steps that she does, she'll do all of that. If she hears a wrong note from anywhere in the orchestra, she stops the orchestra and says, "Right, from the top." So, and I might turn around and say to her, "But we know what it was." "No, from the top." So we go from the top of the song because somebody's played a wrong note. I look at the guy who's played the wrong note and he goes, "Hmm." I said, "Okay, fine." It has to be perfect, everyone, on the night. And it very often, well, it nearly always is. And it always is.
Michael knows I'm going to make a mistake before I make it. I heard him once say, like, "Jump to bar 29" because I missed 2 bars. You know? And that is a great musical director, you know. And he's also written a song for me.
There were times when I felt like running away, but that's too easy. So now carry on. You ain't heard nothing yet. If you think I never sing another song, never shed another tear, then wait, you could be wrong. If you think I never
was backstage and said, oh my God, I can't go on, and be dying and sick of nerves. And then I hear my introduction, and I walk on stage, and the spotlight hits me, and it's magic. I become another person. I am not Shirley Bassey. When I was married, I wasn't married kind of thing when I was on stage. I had no children, and I was this other person.
I have nothing. I have no one. Adore you and want you so. And it's no one with nothing to give you but all. I love you.
Success is, in a way, it just ruins you, really. It ruins your personal life and relationships, especially for a woman. Because it is a very selfish business, you know, because you have to put so much concentration into that, what you're doing, and you can't have any distractions. So for a husband and children, it's very tough. It's very difficult to have a relationship. I think they're afraid to be with a successful woman because we're terribly strong. We know what we want, and we're not fragile enough for them, you know? And that's what ruins a relationship, is the success. That broke up my marriage, and it didn't help my children any, because
I think basically it was quite tough. I found it very difficult. I think we all did. We didn't like to see her go away, and so we would tend to sort of disappear once the suitcases start to come out and the packing proceeded. She isn't very maternal. She freely admits it. She finds it quite hard. The mothering role is quite hard to her. But you do get used to it. It becomes a sort of way of life, really. You know she's got to do it. It's her work. And you have to learn to accept that, really, she's very famous for being Shirley Bassey, more famous for being Shirley Bassey than she is for being a mum. I think she would like very much to be able to combine the two roles, but she does find it very hard. There was 9 years between me and my sister, so we weren't very sort of compatible age-wise. Samantha and I were very different. We had very different characters. She was quite noisy, gregarious, happy-go-lucky, a bit of a rebel. She didn't like to conform. And I think Mum could see Samantha and see herself. And when she died, it was, of course, a great shock. I mean, it really was. And the way in which she died.
Shirley Bassey at the funeral of her youngest daughter, whose body was found in the River Avon on Saturday. Among the flowers, Miss Bassey left a single red rose.
We had added pressure from the media, which didn't help us come to terms with it. And I think, really, Mum took everything inward and couldn't sing for a while. Her voice became very, very dodgy, and that was like an added thing that she had to cope with.
I was grieving, you know, for Samantha through my singing. There was an anger there, I suppose, guilt. And I didn't give myself time enough to grieve. And I believe I'm sure that's what did it. Because there wasn't, otherwise why did it just go? There was no reason. I wasn't sick, you know. I think it was just anger and guilt.
Shirley was going through a very traumatic time of her life, and we were on stage at the Sydney Entertainment Centre in front of 10,000 Australians.
And I walk out on stage and the spotlight picks me up. And I got to the mic and I opened my mouth to sing Goldfinger, and I went, It was terrifying.
Looks at me and I said, what's wrong? She said, my voice, I'd lost my voice. So I took her off stage, took her into the dressing room. She's very, very distressed.
I just could not move. I went into shock. And a doctor came from the audience, and he was sending for, does anybody, can you get some lemon and honey? And I drink this. And then after 3 minutes, mind you, the audience is still waiting out there, you know, tried, and, this went on for half an hour, 40 minutes. And in the end, they had to tell the audience that I was too sick to go on. And they were wonderful, I must say. They felt so sorry, and Michael had to do the announcement, you know.
And to my great surprise, the whole audience applauded. The whole audience applauded. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I thought, you know, that they might start throwing things.
The rest of the tour was cancelled. I flew back to London. I went to my own throat specialist, and I think he tried to make me feel better by saying, I have seen worse. I've seen it, yours, vocal cords worse. But I think he hadn't, and the next thing he said was, this might sound very strange to you, but because you've been in the business so long, and I would recommend a vocal coach. And I said, no, it doesn't sound strange at all. I'll try anything. You know, I was desperate at that moment.
And the first thing I asked her was, what vowel were you singing when your voice cut out? So she looked at me very politely, but I think she was thinking this woman's a raving lunatic. And I said, well, what was the word and the particular vowel? And she said, well, that's funny, it was E. And she demonstrated singing E with her mouth open very wide, the lips drawn back from the teeth. And I said, well, never again in your life sing an E like that. Because when you do so, the back of the mouth assumes a similar position, and it's quite the wrong sort of shape for singing.
She put me through, you know, the vocals, and some days they were very difficult and little tantrums, you know, but she had such patience, and she nursed me through, and this was on and off for about a year. She made me tapes to travel with so that I could practice. And I have my Helena tapes with me everywhere, so she travels around the world with me. You know, her voice travels on these tapes.
In fact, she's so determined that although apparently she frequently kicks the tape recorder when she's listening to my exercises, she always does them right in the end.
And I do this every day for about 40 minutes before I go on stage to make sure that will never happen again. Because that was one hell of a scary moment when I thought, it's all gone.
Sometimes when I feel afraid, I think of what a mess I've made of my life. Crying over my mistakes, forgetting all the breaks I've had in my life. I was put on earth to be a part of this great world. It's me and my life. Guess I'll just add up the score and count the things I'm grateful for in my life. This is my life.
I think whatever tragedy that I've had in my life, after I've gotten over the shock of it, I turned it around and turned it into something creative, you know. And probably that's why I go on stage and I sing every song as though it's my last. I live every song because in every song there's something of my past in there, you know, of the tragedies I've had in my life.
This is my life, and I don't give a damn about emotion. There's a lot of love I got to give. Let me live. Let me live. This is my life. This is my life.
quite like those.
Yes.
I don't know where I could put them, though. Do you think they go on my mantelpiece?
Absolutely. We might have to raise the ceiling, but they would fit.
You be quiet.
Our relationship is that we have a lot of fun together. She's extraordinary. I mean, she's very, very sort of inquisitive, and wants to learn all the time, very interested in the arts, wants to know. She got a great sense of, a great gift for colors and collecting things. And she's very interested in my work also.
He's an ideal man for a woman because he's so even-tempered. I mean, he's such a balance for me. You know, I go off the deep end sometimes and it just bounces off him. It doesn't faze him at all. That's why it's a good friendship, because he's not interested in the other side. See, he loves, this is him. You know, this is Beau, all this is Beau. And he has that's his life. So he has something, you know. But if he didn't have anything, like I suppose the past men in my life, with the exception of Kenneth Hume, my first husband, he had his film work, then they do feel, you know, sort of left out a bit, you know, and meaningless. And what am I doing here, you know, kind of thing. But not with Beau.
Friends comes to her as more of a quality of friends rather than the quantity. And therefore, also, having been exposed to show business for so many years, she's a bit wary about people that she doesn't open up to. She's very close. The other side of her life is very close. What you see on stage is what you get, but off stage is totally different.
He understands me very well, whereas more than anybody I've met, I think. He understands that I have to have these little outbursts, and I don't think anybody else understands that. They didn't in the past. And this is why we have this wonderful friendship over 30 years, you know. I mean, I could never be married to anybody that long. It would be impossible, you know. Because they take all my little, you know, my little tantrums so personal, you know. They don't understand that it's frustration or something, you know, of the business, which is a terribly frustrating business. I wouldn't change it at this stage in my life for anything else. I mean, there is no business like show business. It's terrible business. But it does have its rewards. As I said before, the standing ovations are just, the adrenaline is just, I can't see myself settling. I've been a gypsy for so long that anywhere there's a microphone, or you know, the saying really is anywhere I hang my hat is home. But anywhere where you know, the work takes me, you know, have voice will travel, you know. 223, I should be dead.
What goes up must come down. Spinning wheel, gotta go round. Talking about
exercising in the gym as well every day gives me such stamina that I do an hour and a half on stage, which when I was younger I didn't. So, as they say, you don't get older, you get better. Isn't that nice?
Catch a painted pony, let the spinning wheel fly.
This is my life. This is how I see it. This is how it's always been since the age of 16. Tamed down a lot. Oh, yes, the tiger in me. Although I'm wearing... Oh, that's not tiger, is it? It's leopard. I'm wearing tiger eye, that's enough, yeah. Yeah, it's there, you know, but it's more controlled now, as I said. As I get older, I get mellower and more patient. I've learned patience. Everything's quietened down a lot, you know, and I'm happy about that. I like it. I like me better now. I think about retiring every day of my life, especially when I get nervous and I'm standing in the wings waiting to go on, and I say, what am I doing here? I don't need this. And so it's only nerves, because once I'm out there, I mean, it's wonderful and I love it, and I think, what were you thinking of? Retiring? No way, you know. Besides, what would you do? I often talk to myself like that. I'm going to get arrested one day. And, yes, I think about retiring all the time. But then I say, retire, but you're only 29. What are you going to do for the rest of your life? It's a great song that leads into, what are you doing the rest of your life? North and south and east and west of your life. All I ever will request of your life, that you spend it all with me. Ah, beautiful song.
You better love me while you may. Tomorrow I may fly away. I need your gentle touch, that continental touch, your elemental touch, and you want me to, and I know that you do. Better love me while I'm here. Tomorrow I may disappear.